Hey everybody, Michael here from Replica Airguns, and this is my full tabletop review for the Umarex SA10 CO2 Blowback Pellet and BB pistol. Now, I haven't shot it yet, looking forward to shooting it for sure. Going to try and do that at the end of this week, so hopefully I'll have that for you before I head out to SHOT Show, which is actually next week. I'm leaving on the 22nd of January and should be there all week till Friday. Going to bring back some nice video of some of the new products from some of the vendors there. Now keep in mind, this pistol is available in both our Canada and US online Replica Airgun stores. So if you're interested in buying it, check us out at replicaairguns.ca for Canada and replicaairguns.us for the US. Now it's not really an exact copy of any particular gun. I am going to compare it to a couple other pistols I have just to kind of give you my impression of what I think it kind of looks like, but it isn't a replica, so to speak. Alright, let's get this packaging out of the way. I showed you in my preview video the packaging, not super exciting, but you'll see here you've got your metal slide, rotary mags, pellet or steel BBs, right? 420 FPS, SA10. There's your stick mag, or your rotary full-size dropout mag, kind of a weird combination. Sort of hits a lot of those hot spots we're looking for. Alright, so let's take a quick look at the back. Nothing really that much more there. It does talk a little bit about the gold finish, barrel, Picatinny rail, fast action sights, threaded muzzle, serrated slide. Okay, so there's a picture of the ammo again. Let's take a quick look at the manual. So again, you have more information here, right? Same stuff kinda. Steel BB pellet, CO2, rotary mag, blowback, metal slide. Inside you're basically going to have a lot of instructions on like front sight safety, rear sight, magazine release, magazine muzzle, other side, how to use the safety, right, how to load the magazine, CO2 and whatnot, how to load the rotary mags, how to insert the magazine, you know, all that kind of stuff. Little explanation of how to use your sights. So there you go. You can kind of see how we're actually supposed to use sights here. You're supposed to shoot just under the bullseye. I have made a video on how to use your sights. I have done a video like that just so you can kind of get an idea. But just so you don't want it too high or too low, you want it just under there, just so that center bullseye is just above the sights. That's a typical sight position for most guns. Sometimes you have to adjust a little bit, but that's usually the way it is. Alright, let's go over some of the specs really quickly before I do a little comparison and show you around this gun in more detail. Alright, the specs are, it shoots .177 caliber pellets and 4.5mm steel BBs. Those pellets could be probably lead or alloy, you know, the lighter alloy pellets, high velocity ones. They'll all work in this gun, I'm sure, as long as they fit in that rotary mag. This gun uses standard 12-gram CO2 cartridges. It is a blowback action gun, and it shoots in both single and double action, so that trigger and hammer are single double action. This gun weighs in at 2.05 pounds, which is 929.8 grams to be exact. It has that interesting rotary magazine positioned inside the full-size dropout metal magazine that holds the CO2, right? So it's a very interesting combination with these extra magazines that you can hot swap really quickly if you want to. This gun has a 5-inch rifled steel barrel, has a claimed FPS of 420, so when I do my shooting video we'll find out if that 420 is for pellets or BBs. I will shoot both to see which is going to be the higher velocity. You notice it has the ported metal slide with the polymer frame. Now the slide does not lock back after the last shot since it does use rotary magazines and doesn't have a follower to let the slide catch, if it had one, know that it was empty. So that's not a possibility with most rotary styled pellet magazine air guns. You're going to find fixed sights on the front and back. The rear sight does have yellow dots on it, but the front sight doesn't have any dots. Kind of interesting. I am going to field strip this gun, so it is field strippable. I'll show you that. And it has that removable barrel tip for possible add-on of a barrel accessory like a mock suppressor or a mock silencer. I don't know if Umarex is going to make those available at some point, but the barrel tip does come off. You will need to take it off to field strip the gun, so that may be one reason why it comes off. It also has a Picatinny rail for either a tack light or laser, and of course you can see it has the gold barrel, which looks nice, and this gun is made in Taiwan. Alright, let's do a quick comparison. I will pop this in for now. I think it looks a lot like a SIG. Here's an X5, just because it's a larger SIG, and since the SA10 is larger, we're going to compare the two. It just has a SIG kind of shape to it. Sort of a, I'm going to compare it to a SIG and a Walther, almost like a hybrid, a little different trigger guard, but you'll even see, even the front, the way the slide is, has that same look at the front, right? Even the shape of the pistol grip, right? Even kind of the shape of the hammer just a little bit too. So very similar to a SIG. Obviously this gun has a lot of different finishings going on, but it is similar in shape. Now here's a Walther. This is the, it's kind of styled after the PPQ. They call it the P99Q. It's the pellet pistol version from Umarex, but it looks like a PPQ first generation. And so it is similar, but you know, you're not having all the same stuff, but you are getting similarities, crossovers between these guns. Again, I kind of think it looks more like the SIG X5 out of any of the guns that I have. Alright, let's do a quick walk around, then I'll field strip it for you guys. Get some of the dirt off here. Alright, so let's take another look. I've done this already in my preview video, but we're going to look over this pistol one more time here. So you see on the right side, made in Taiwan, you got your caliber, you got your serial number, you got your porting here, top and sides. Right, a little bit of warning instructions. This gun has a lot of areas with grip on it. It's like almost like a skateboard grip in a way. This grip is really, you can really feel it. I wouldn't say it's sharp, but it's almost like a little bit like sandpaper. You're going to find it right here on the grips as well, all around the grip. So you're not going to drop this gun. It's not going to slide out of your hands too easy. It does have a bit of weight. The trigger safety is just, it's just for show. Right, it doesn't work. Okay, you have your tack rail there, right? We can pop this out. I'll just pop the mag out right now so you can see through here. You can see through the mag well, right? The barrel is fixed. It's not a floating barrel. You have the UX for Umarex there. Again, more textured grips there. You have single and double action trigger, right? So slide goes back, it's going to cock that hammer and make it single action. Every time you pull the trigger though, the first part will be rotating the magazine. So let me show you kind of what I mean here. So as I rotate it, the first little bit, you hear that little click, that rotated the rotary magazine, and then the last part will be releasing of the hammer. So double action, single action, okay? Let's take a look at the left side, right? SA10. Takedown lever for when I field strip it. I did say that this was a molded in fixed slide catch release, that it wasn't usable, but you'll notice here it's safe and fire. So it is a safety. It's kind of neat. It looks like a slide catch release, but discreetly here they have safe and fire. So it's your safety, which I think is nice. Instead of having the big ugly safeties which we see on some air guns or weird little switches, this looks like a slide catch release. So they've hidden it well, made it look more realistic. In the long run, it looks more realistic. Also have our magazine release. The mag does kind of pop out pretty good, so it's going to be good for quick reloading. It's going to come out, you're not going to have to shake it out or anything, right? We do have our yellow dot sights on the back, right? There's that gold barrel. No yellow dot on the front, more venting here. All right, let's take off this tip real quick here. Okay, so it does unthread. You've got a little O-ring at the back here just to help hold it in place so that you're not metal on metal when you get to the end there. But it is gold. It is nice and wide at the end. You have a very large opening there, which makes it more realistic. And this sort of pseudo-fake threading going on the inside, or rifling. Let's pop the mag out. We're going to field strip this one. So I've already got this actually in the down position. To push it all the way back pretty hard and up. So it's pretty tight there, getting it off. But now once you've got it off, you can see in here we have what's going on here. Right, this little guy is what helps with the blowback. Sometimes when guns have blowback or non-blowback versions, they're missing this little green, I guess, seal. And this green seal, things are falling apart, goes inside of there. So when there's pressure, when the pellet's shot out, some of the gas goes back, pushing the whole back of the slide backwards. So if you have a non-blowback gun, sometimes just by buying this little O-ring or whatever it is, you can make them blowback. And if you don't want it to be blowback, you could theoretically take that out and make this gun a non-blowback gun, but I don't think you're going to really get much more power because you're just losing CO2 at that point. So here we have our slide spring, right? And here we have the innards, the gun, fixed barrel, all gold, right? Polymer frame, lots of metal in this gun. The slide is nice and heavy. I'm going to try and figure out how to put it back together. So you can see this goes in like this, spun around, there we go. You got to line up things, otherwise they don't work. Interesting, you know what? I'm going to show you this just because I should. I don't know if this is worn or broken or just the way that it happens to wear. I don't think it's a big deal because you can see that it's just going to go in like that, but I don't know how that would happen. Interesting, but I'll show you that. I need to pull this off camera just to get this lined up. So that was interesting. Got that in there. I don't think it's going to affect the gun too much, but maybe it has to do with when you're field stripping it, because it is pretty tight. Maybe you just kind of get into that zone and that little bit kind of broke off on me. I don't know. Anyways, I'm sure the gun's going to work fine. We're going to do the field test, so we'll find out if that bothers the gun in any way. You don't see it when the gun's put back together. Everything fits fine inside. It's just a little corner of that piece seemed to have been worn away or broken off. I'm not really sure. But anyways, okay, let's put this gun all back together. Right, there we are, ready to go. Alright, let's go over some of the pros and the cons. The Umarex SA10 Blowback Pellet and BB pistol has a nice weight to it and a good feel. I think the overall build quality seems really good. Little tiny bit of concern on that little piece on the inside. Is that going to give us trouble down the road? I don't know. I'll find out when I shoot it a bit and see what happens. Hopefully not. You're going to find an accessory rail on it for adding lasers and tack lights. That's always nice. And again, it has that unique full-size dropout metal magazine that holds the extra rotary magazines on it for quick reloading. Not very many guns out there like that. I believe Crosman has something similar, but this is new in terms of what Umarex is doing. It's nice that you have the option of shooting either steel BBs or pellets. Personally, I'm going to stick with pellets because of the rifled barrel. I don't like shooting steel BBs in a rifled barrel. I feel that it can wear the rifling down over time, especially if you're shooting a lot of steel BBs. So stick with pellets primarily, I would suggest. Again, it has that rifled barrel, so that's going to increase accuracy, especially with pellets. And the barrel's gold, which just kind of looks cool. You don't see a lot of gold barrels on guns. I don't like all gold guns. I think that's a little too much. But a gold barrel, that's okay. Again, that barrel tip is removable for allowing possible accessories down the road if Umarex provides them. So either mock suppressors or a mock silencer. And that slide catch is actually a safety, making it nice and discreet. You don't have that ugly switch that some guns have on them that looks like some sort of a electrical switch. This looks just like a slide catch release. Unless you really take a close look, you're not even going to know it's the safety. This gun is easily field strippable, as I showed you, and the warning instructions are not overpowering. They're there in white, but they're not like huge and taking up half the slide like you find on some guns. Alright, some of the cons. There's no white/yellow dot on the front sight. So even though it's on the back sight, it's going to be kind of hard to line up the front one since it doesn't have a yellow or white dot on it. And the sights are also non-adjustable, which is kind of typical of these types of pellet/BB pistols. Now the trigger safety, again, it's just for show. There's definitely a lot of guns out there that utilize a real working trigger safety, so that could have been built into the gun. But Umarex chose just to make it for looks. And it looks cool, but it just isn't functional. And lastly, it's not a replica of any particular gun. I kind of prefer replica guns because, you know, why not? Why not have it be a replica of a gun that's in production? That's going to cost a little more for licensing, I'm sure, but I think it's worth the additional cost to have a replica. That said, it is a really cool looking gun. It looks good. It feels good. I do like it, besides it not being a replica. Alright, keep in mind the Umarex SA10 CO2 Blowback Pellet and BB pistol is available in our Canada and US online Replica Airgun stores over at replicaairguns.ca for Canada, replicaairguns.us for the US. We have other products there too: pellet guns, BB guns, airsoft guns, blank guns, accessories, all kinds of accessories for guns. Don't forget to subscribe. Check me out on Facebook and Twitter. Username is Replica Airguns. Until next time, take care.